All right, I'm back, everybody, and I just have a few words to say. And I'm sorry about my dog. He's being a little, I don't know what he's doing. Anyways, I just want to say a few words. I am not happy with how this world has come out to be. Um, I don't know about y'all, but what my mom has told, what my Grandpa Brown, Grandpa Brown has told my mom and my mom told me is that you can be book learned all day and not have a lick of common sense. Well, guess what this world has turned out to be? You're book learned all day and you don't have a lick of common sense. And I fully support my grandpa because, half the stories I've gotten told, is right on. But, you know, this world has come to, war. We are on the fence of World War III. If anybody doesn't know, we're just coming to that point. And then these police officers around here, in Arkansas, the bad ones think, I'm not, the one, think about this. If you have somebody's hand over your throat and you decide, and the police officer decides the one that has their hand over their throat is bad, well, what about the one that's fighting back because they have their hand over their throat? You can't just take one side, hear one side of the story, and put the other person that has another completely different side of the story, and that is true, and a police officer and not give them their Miranda rights. I say that officer needs to lose their job plus their badge. Because technically we have rights, and it's called we can have a lawyer, and we can have freedom. And to be honest with you, in one of the I can't remember which rule it is in the United States, we have freedom of speech. When it comes to certain things. But, when that police officer is threatening you to put you in jail just because you're defending yourself, I think you have a freedom of speech. I didn't know this when it happened to me, but you have freedom of speech and you have a right to have a lawyer. And these people around here that is just awful, and they look at you like you are the just evilest person in the world. Well, guess what? The people that look at you like that, let me tell you something. They're the evilest person in the world. Because when they give you that stink eye and that I want to kill you look, them are the people to be just stay away from them. Don't hang around with bad people because it'll kick you in the rear end. This world has come to in 2026 has come to just the fact that you have to carry a pistol, you have to carry a gun. But guess what? I'm not carrying it. I can't. Because of what happened to me. And that's not right. What happens if somebody comes up to your front porch and comes in your house and you come home and they're standing in your home and you get shot right on the spot. Well, I think that rule needs to be rearranged. If it's me, I think if you're in danger and you get put in jail for something that didn't even happen to you, I mean, it was completely overlooked. You know? And I think for the people out there, they need to, like, get a lawyer and, like, just tell them, hey, I didn't do this. Is there any way I can just, just, have a, go to court with this again? Because I didn't realize at the time, because they had me so screwed up and I didn't know who to believe, that I thought I was actually guilty. Well, I get here to my new mom, and she tells me, why did you go to jail? Why are you on probation? Well, I told her, and she said you're not guilty. I'm taking you to court. That's what she said, and she dealt with it too. But we're also having to deal with the fact that we're still dealing with those same people because nobody wants to deal with them. Well, guess what? It's not easy. This world is just gone to crap. There is idiots out there. Where are the men, that are, godly men out there, and that, that has a lick of common sense? Where are they at? Because they're not here. They're not standing up for people that need standing up for. They're just sitting back like the rest of them watching it. Well, it sounds like to me those lick of common sense men are getting deceived. And I don't want to be the one, to say this, but now I am, because, I'm a woman and I have no man. And, I'm just getting sick and tired of it. Where are these men at? And I'm not saying this because I want a man. I love being by myself, me, my dog, and my mom. I take care of my mom. And I take care of her. And I love being around her. And I love being by myself. But when it comes to people that wants to hurt you, where are these people at that'll help you? Like the police. They say, oh, their job is to help you when there's actual needing help, but when there's actual needing help, they don't want to help you. They have to have some proof. Well, why don't you get your butts out there and get the proof you need? Because this is ridiculous. You're wanting to blame innocent people when they holler for help. And because there's been too many people that's probably there's a story saying when you cry wolf too many times, it's gonna bite you in the rear. And it's just like all these people out here that think, oh, this world is just a fairy tale, a man's gonna sweep you up off your feet, and it's gonna be, oh, a Cinderella story. No, it's not. Sorry, kids. No, it's not. I know you're probably getting out of high school and thinking, oh, he's gonna marry me. Oh, but what happens if he finds another girl that he likes? And be like, and then he leaves you. Well, then your heart just got squashed. Because you're believing in that fairy tale story. Well, it's the truth. And, and it's horrible. I know I'm going off onto all these topics, and it's just so much in this world that's going on, and it's hard, when you know, when you can't even pay, when you gotta have to like budget your money and for 3 deals of groceries for almost $60. And I think it was just like a few weeks ago I went into the store, Walmart, and I bought like 3 things and it was almost $60. And I think that was milk, ice cream, and I'm thinking some butter. Like 4 sticks of butter in a pack. And I go up there to, pay for it, and it's almost $60. Well, it sounds like to me Walmart and everybody's ripping us off. Plus, our government, because they want us paying these tax dollars. But to think of it, what are they putting in our food? We don't even know what they're putting in our food, our drinks. You got to think about that. Why should we have to pay that when we don't even know what they're putting in our food and drinks? Y'all people that are just buying stuff just because y'all have the big bucks think, oh, the people that don't have very much money, oh, they can pay for this. No, they can't. And and I'm not bragging, but even for people like us that has $1,000 and something in the checking account, we even have to watch our money. Because we got to pay bills. We got to pay, groceries, doctor's appointments, And, it's just ridiculous. And I hate to say this, but we're just lucky enough to still be alive in this family and have something to eat and drink and a roof over our heads and thanking God each day. If it wasn't for God, all of us on this planet wouldn't be here doing God's work. You think for the people that are being deceived, you think, oh, God ain't real, but He is. And I'm sorry I'm getting off topic, but I'm just going with what my heart's telling me to tell you in God. And for the people that are being deceived, y'all need to think twice and look in your Bible if you have one. If you don't and you have a phone, there's apps on your phone. I think I got an app on my phone and I have 3 Bibles. And I think it's called Biblical. It's a biblical app, and it you get like daily devotions, where you have to read it gives you a certain scripture out of the Bible, and then it gives you the list of lists of the chapters in the Bible, and then you can pick whatever book you want to. And and it's a good thing for people to have, but you got to think too, you got to take that app and you got to look in your Bible, and you got to see if that's the right one, because they're also ripping us off on our Bibles. If you think about it, there's stuff in these Bibles, like the King James, that are not all there. And and I'm just saying, why? I'm asking the same thing. I'm not telling you everything that I don't know everything, but I know this. A lot of people are ripping people off, the good people off, because they don't want us to learn what everything is in God's terms, you know? You got to think, you got to research it your own, you got to, it's ridiculous, you know? I think it was the other day me and my mom were talking, and you know, we were talking, I think it was about the war that's going on here in America. You know, our soldiers shouldn't have to pay for what another country's war because of two countries' war. You know, we need to be out of NATO, and we need to get out of it now. And I don't think Trump realizes that, because he shouldn't even started the war with them in the first place. And I know it started with Biden, but Trump's just doing the same thing Biden's doing. And I hate to say that. I'm all for Trump. Don't get me wrong. But he's showing us that instead of working on our own country, he's wanting to put us in World War III just because of what other two countries have. Our war has been going on forever, and I think it's ever since I've been born, and earlier than that, later than that. You know, it's not right. You know, I don't ask for much, but I need everybody to just wake up and realize, that this world isn't like it used to be in the cowboy days, where you can just it's not Little House on the Prairie. It's just not. Yeah, I'm thinking everybody wants it to be, but it's not. It's not a Little House on the Prairie where it's just good and almighty and everybody can just be friends. It's not. You actually have to stand up for yourself and say, "Hey, this is wrong." If just one little act like that, if that gets this country back to the way it needs to be, and just one little act of kindness, I bet you this country would go back to normal. And I know that's saying a lot for the people that's been dealing with this forever. But and I don't even think a little act of kindness anymore is going to help. But you got to try something to put this Arkansas United States back in place, because guess what? It's not right for the people that's good and paying for it. I love this country, but I don't like some of this people in this country that thinks everything's just plain and go lucky, and they're not seeing what all these other people are seeing. That's horrible. That what they're doing to these other people, and there's people on the streets, the people on the streets that's living on the streets. You got to think of their story. What have they been through? Why are they on the street in the first place? Maybe maybe they just need a little help getting back up on their feet. Just one little bitty act of kindness getting them back up on their feet. That's all they need. You know, and my YouTube channel is Chanel Cox right now because I don't know what I'm gonna name it right now, but I'm getting there. But if you could just, you know, my Cash App is Chanel Cox. You know, if you want to Cash App me, go right ahead. Just hit the comments down below and Cash App me, because you know, I'm trying to help people out, but also I can't just do this for free. I'm not doing this for free, helping people out for free. I mean, I'd love to, yes. But I've got to make my own money too. And you know, I'm not going to sit around and just let, you know, y'all take advantage of my YouTube. For the ones that really actually want to hear it, well, you're going to have to pay me, because I'm not going to keep on doing this. This is actually going to start being my job. So, my Cash App is Chanel, Shonell, and last name Cox. And if you want to send me a message, comment down below and ask me, hey, what's your Cash App, you know, and I'll give it to you if you're actually going to pay me. So, you know, for the ones out there that are doing good and actually want to hear this, I'm with y'all all the way. So I'll talk to you later, and I don't know when I'm going to post next, but I will try to post. I don't know. I'll probably try to post. I'm busy tomorrow. Probably be the next day. So it's probably going to be Tuesday or Wednesday before I post. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.